Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? And welcome back to Spanish class with Professor Jason. Today what I'd like to talk about is something that many of you have asked for, and that would be a lesson on dining or eating out at a restaurant. I'm going to teach you some of the key verbs, some of the grammatical concepts, some of the vocabulary, and finally some of the phrases that will lead to you being able to order food at a restaurant in Spanish. Okay? So I hope you enjoy this lesson. I want to start out with a few verbs that you're going to see in this lesson. There are several. Okay? Sort of tell you what they mean and how they might be used. The first verb is desear. Desear means to want or to desire. Okay, and you're going to see it in the plural, desean, and maybe in the singular, desea, the usted form. Okay. Another similar verb is querer. Okay, querer is to want or to wish. So you're going to see it in the plural, quieren, or in the singular, quiere, or perhaps in a more formal quisiera, more formal, polite sounding quisiera form that you might hear from the waiter or waitress, or you can use yourself. A third important verb for this lesson is poder. Poder means to be able to, and it's used in requests such as, could you bring us some more water? Poder, would you be able to? Okay. Another verb is gustar. Now gustar behaves a little bit differently, but you'll see it in the examples. It's used with indirect object pronouns such as me, le, les, nos, and usually in the conditional form, gustaría. Okay, but gustar means to be pleasing to or to like. Okay, and finally, one of the verbs is pedir. Pedir means to ask for, to request, to order. Okay, so you might ask for or order food. It's pedir. Okay, and then finally, tener, to have. Tomar, of course, to drink, and a verb that means almost the same or the same is beber. So you can use tomar or beber interchangeably. Then, of course, comer, to eat, comer, and traer. Okay, traer is to bring. So you might ask the waiter to bring something, traer. Now, those are the key verbs for this lesson. It's quite a few. Okay, all of these can be kept in the present tense, and sometimes they're not even conjugated. Okay. Keep them in the present tense just to keep things simple, but you may hear from the waiter, the waitress, or the staff. You might hear them in other tenses such as the conditional for additional politeness. Okay, and you might also notice that in many of these phrases that we're going to get to, the verbs appear, there's two verbs in each phrase. Okay, consider for example the following question: ¿Qué quieren tomar? What would you like to drink? ¿Qué quieren tomar? Okay, we have quieren and tomar, would you like to drink. The first verb is going to be conjugated. The second verb in these two verb sequences is left in the infinitive or the unconjugated form. So look for that in the phrases we'll get to in a minute. Okay, that pattern is going to be repeated several times. If you're dining with others, the waiter, who is el mesero or la mesera, will often use verbs in the plural form if you're with others. Okay, conjugating for ustedes, you guys, as you'll see in the phrases to follow. You would usually address the waiter using the usted form, which is the formal singular you. Okay, and you'll also see that in the phrases that I'll provide. Now, just to give us the tools, here's some basic, really basic, food vocabulary that will be helpful as we get to our phrases, because you can substitute, plug them in, and take them out. Okay, when it comes to drinks, the generic category of bebidas. Okay, bebidas, we could say agua, water, agua mineral, bottled water or mineral water, café, coffee, cerveza, cerveza, beer, I know important for many of you that are going to travel, vino tinto is red wine, vino blanco is white wine, jugo or jugo de fruta is juice, fruit juice, leche is milk, refresco is generic for a soft drink, or you can just say Coca-Cola if that's what you really want. Okay, when it comes to basic food items, I have a few here that I'll teach. Pan is bread. Ensalada is just a generic word for salad. Ensalada. Verduras or vegetales, or sometimes legumbres, can all mean vegetables, veggies. Okay. Carne is generic for meat. Carne. Okay. Or bistec is a steak, piece of beef. Bistec. Pollo, you probably already know, it's a very common word in Spanish. Pollo is chicken. Pescado is fish. Camarones, shrimp. Camarones. Sopa is soup. Arroz is rice, a very common side dish, of course. And another one is mashed potatoes or puré de papas. Okay, so again, I'm going really fast because my time is limited, but you can always rewind and review. When it comes to desserts, You can ask for things such as helado. Helado is ice cream. Torta, which in some countries is cake, or pastel, which can be cake or pie or pastry depending on the country. Tarta, which in many places is a pie, una tarta. Flan, which you might have heard of, it's very popular dessert in Spain and Latin America, is a type of caramel custard. And galletas. Galletas are cookies. That's just a few. Now keep in mind this is a very basic and generic list, okay? But you could easily find dozens of more items in any decent travel phrase book, right? And simply plug them into the phrases that I'm going to present next. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some phrases you're likely to hear in most dining out situations. Okay, of course, when you're seated, there's going to be the pleasantries, right? The waiter might say, "Hola, buenas tardes," or "Buenas noches," "Bienvenidos al restaurante," right? Welcome to the restaurant. Okay, it'd be fine for you to say "Buenas tardes" back, or "Gracias," or whatever would be appropriate. Many times you're going to order drinks first. When it comes to ordering drinks, and I'm going to tell you the phrases that the waiter would ask so you can recognize them as well as how you could respond. So when ordering drinks, your waiter might ask questions such as, and any of these could occur, ¿Desean tomar algo? Or ¿Quieren tomar algo? Or ¿Qué desean tomar? ¿Qué quieren tomar? Or ¿Desean beber algo? Okay, remember the verbs tomar and beber could be used for to drink. Now the simplest way to respond to this question about what you would like to drink is simply by stating the drink of your choice and using the phrase por favor for politeness. You don't even need to use a verb. So if somebody asks ¿Qué desean tomar? Or ¿Qué quieren beber? You could say agua por favor, or una botella de agua mineral por favor, okay? Or simply una Coca-Cola por favor, una cerveza por favor, or ¿Desean tomar algo? Sí, un vino tinto, por favor. O un vino blanco, por favor. ¿Quieren tomar algo? Sí, un jugo de fruta, por favor. ¿Desean tomar algo? Sí, una leche, por favor. ¿Quieren tomar algo? Sí, un café, por favor. All of those would be perfectly normal and sound great, and you get your drink, okay? Now if you insist on using verbs and being a little bit fancy, you can just use the phrase quiero tomar, I want to drink, or just quiero without the tomar and add the beverage. So, ¿Desean tomar algo? I could answer, quiero tomar un agua mineral, por favor. ¿Desea tomar algo? Quiero una cerveza, por favor, using quiero or quiero tomar. Okay? You can do the same with the phrase me gustaría, I would like to, me gustaría tomar. Okay? ¿Desean tomar algo? Me gustaría tomar un vino tinto, o me gustaría una cerveza. Okay? So you can use just the drink, the verb quiero or quiero tomar, or me gustaría tomar. Okay? I would like to. Now, if you want to know what drinks are offered, you haven't gotten the menu yet or whatever, use the verb tener in a question like this. ¿Qué bebidas tienen? ¿Qué bebidas tienen? Or ¿qué tienen para tomar? What do you have to drink? Okay? Of course, by now, there usually will be a menu handy, or the waiter will provide it, but if you need to request it, here are some questions that will get that menu for you. ¿Podemos ver la carta? Can we see the menu? ¿Podemos ver la carta? In some countries, they might actually use the word el menú, which is more similar to English. ¿Podemos ver el menú? Or if it's just you, you're not in a group, ¿puedo ver la carta? Can I see the menu? Okay. If you want to ask for a menu in English or any other language, you could say, ¿Tienen una carta en inglés? ¿Tienen una carta en inglés? Okay. Now let's move on to ordering food. Okay. Again, this might come first, it might come before the drinks, they might ask all at once, but here are some questions you might hear. When it comes to ordering food, usually the waiter or waitress will ask what you would like to eat using a question like, for example, okay, these are just examples, ¿Qué les gustaría pedir? What would you like to order? ¿Qué les gustaría pedir? Or are you ready to order? ¿Están listos para pedir? Or ¿qué les gustaría comer? But it'll be obvious when they're asking for you to order the main dish. Okay. Now usually the waiter will inform you of the daily special or specials, but if you're curious about a house specialty, you can always ask for a recommendation by saying, for example, ¿Qué recomienda usted? Practice that one. ¿Qué recomienda usted? Okay. You could ask the waiter. If you want to ask whether the restaurant offers something in particular, again, use the verb tener, to have, in a question such as, and substitute the food, ¿Tienen camarones frescos? Or ¿Tienen salmón a la parrilla? Okay, so you can ask if they have a particular food if you don't see it on the menu. Otherwise, ordering is simple enough. Just use the verb querer and add por favor, similar to what we saw with the drinks, right? Quiero una ensalada y arroz con pollo, por favor. Or quiero un bistec con puré de papas, por favor. Quiero pollo con legumbres. Or quiero una sopa de pescado. Okay, quiero, I would like. Or I want. You can use the phrase I would like, for example, me gustaría. You can say, me gustaría una ensalada y un bistec. Or me gustaría una sopa de pescado. Okay? If you need something during the meal, you can get the waiter's attention and ask for it using the phrase puede traernos and then what it is that you need. Okay? Puede traernos means could you bring us. If it's just you, use puede traerme and then the thing. So for example, could you bring us a little bit of butter? Puede traernos un poco de mantequilla. Puede traernos un poco más de pan, a little more bread. Or another example, puede traernos una servilleta. Or if it's just me, puede traerme una servilleta. Okay. Now many times the waiter or waitress will ask whether you would like a cup of coffee or dessert, of course. You can use the same phrases I just presented to order desserts, right? If the waiter asks, ¿le gustaría tomar un café? Would you like a cup of coffee? Just simply say, sí, por favor. O sí me gustaría, gracias. If they ask about desserts, you can order in the similar fashion that we've just seen. Sí, quiero un poco de helado de vainilla. O sí, me gustaría un pedazo de torta de chocolate. Okay, it's simple enough. Now, in terms of requesting the check, when you're finished eating and you're ready to leave, in Latin American countries and Europe, you'll need to get the waiter's attention, okay, either by calling them over, making a gesture, snapping your fingers, whatever you see other people doing. Okay, they're not going to push you out the door by bringing you the check like happens in the States. So, wave the waiter over, get their attention, and simply say, la cuenta por favor. La cuenta por favor. So again, it's a lot of information in this lesson. Again, there's a lot of variations, but I've tried to present it in a simple way. Hopefully you can go back, rewind, review, write some of these down and practice them. I tried to repeat them a couple of times, although I went quickly. And I hope this has been a helpful lesson and that you'll soon go out and practice it by trying to order food and drink in a restaurant where they speak Spanish. Okay? All right. Hasta luego. Ciao y hasta la próxima.